Welcome everyone to the Nerd Nook. I'm your host, Evan Teague, and with me like always is Noah Bailey. So, Black Adam came out yesterday, but even before that movie came out, DC went ahead and announced just a ton of new projects, which I was not expecting. I was fully expecting it to be like, if this movie does well, then they'll go ahead and push forward these other projects, but they went ahead and just announced like an entire, like, essentially what they would have announced if a DC fandom showcase thing happened. They went ahead and just announced it here. So, yeah, let's go over
Let's go through it.
let's go through it. At the top of the list that I have, James Gunn is developing a new movie in the DC universe. We don't know what it'll be or anything
Suicide
about
Squad
it.
2.
I mean, that'd be good.
Yeah.
uh, I mean, he definitely seems to work well with like teams of characters. Obviously, Guardians, Suicide Squad, etc. Even Peacemaker had his little troop. Um,
Ooh, what about like a Green Lantern multi-team movie? That'd be kind of interesting.
I could see him doing. I could see his Guy Gardner being similar to like a Rocket Raccoon type character, where he's
Mhm.
like he is a jerk, but he's at least somewhat likable. Um, yeah, that could be a lot of fun, or like a Justice League Dark movie, um, like a full on Outsiders. Like there are many different. If we're going on teams, like that could be fun, and
Sure.
also I really do like the idea of how DC is currently handling things, where characters are just kind of here. No more origin
Hmm.
stories. No more like build up to character. Like I don't need that anymore. Atom Smasher, why not? He's just
Yeah.
here.
Well, that's the thing too. It's like if you're gonna make movies, quote unquote, for the fans already know the origins and the source material, so you don't
Right.
have to baby them. Like we know how they got there more or
Mm,
less, so just run with it.
yeah, like you can give them a very brief origin within the movie, like they did with Polka Dot Man or King Shark or whoever. But as far as like actually building them up in their own movies, I don't really necessarily need that as long as they make sense for the story they're trying to tell.
Right.
I so so yeah, just literally, any character, any group of characters, any world he wants to tackle, go for it.
Go for it.
Yeah. Oh, this is very encouraging. The Suicide Squad didn't perform all that well, at least in theaters, but people really like that movie. It did well on HBO Max. So, and Peacemaker was well received. So I think that's
Mhm.
whoever's running the company right now. They at least have faith, even though if a movie isn't a surefire bet, they will still, you know, put forward the talent necessary to make good projects, which is very good. Um, Next up, I have a new Superman movie starring Henry Cavill is finally in development.
Mm.
So,
It's been almost 10 years, right?
I mean, if not counting BVS, which is barely a Superman movie,
Well,
then
no, I mean, I guess I was counting Man of Steel. Yeah, I don't count
yeah.
PBS.
I so here's the thing, like Zack Snyder isn't currently attached to this project,
Hmm.
um, and I don't necessarily know if I because I so here's kind of my mixed feelings about this. I think Henry Cavill does have potential to be a really good Superman someday. I think the character that he's been playing so far has elements of what I want to see. He's just not a fully formed character yet, which is fine if the direction he was going looked promising, which I feel with the leaks and whatever for the original Justice League trilogy, just I didn't like that direction, so I don't know if I want Zack Snyder to be at the helm of this character right now. However, even though Henry Cavill is back, and a pretty loud group of DC fans are happy about that, another group are like, it's good that Henry Cavill is back, but we want Snyder directing it. If Snyder's not directing, it's not a real Superman movie, which they need to shut up. But so like I don't. In a way, I would want someone else's take on the character, but also I don't want these people to like every single time this character is brought up from here until the end of time complaining about Zack Snyder not making the sequel. So I don't know.
That's just gonna happen forever. I mean, like people are just like fanboys will never be happy. Like you know what I mean. So it's kind of like you just kind of let it go because like honestly. Like I've said this before on this podcast, I'll say it again. Your boos mean nothing because I see what makes you cheer, so I don't care. Like I don't care. Like I don't know. Like if you love BBS and oh man, I really love the Snyder cut and all. Like you know what? Then I don't really care. Like I don't because those are not what I'm looking for either. So therefore, things that I would assume you would be on board with, I probably wouldn't be. So I'm okay with you not being happy about it.
And I even wouldn't necessarily mind the Snyder cut being a jumping off point for a more, comic book accurate Superman. But that's not the direction Zack Snyder had him going in, at least not at first. We would have to get through at least 2 more Justice League movies for him to finally be the Superman we all know and love, and then we would be, 10 plus years into the universe. And it would just I don't want that. And I feel some people make the argument, well, for MCU Spider-Man, it wasn't until No Way Home where he finally became Spider-Man. But that's not really the case because Homecoming, he definitely was Spider-Man just because
he was Spider-Man before he had a Spider-Man movie. I mean,
yeah, like just because Uncle Ben didn't give him the speech, he's not Spider-Man. That doesn't make sense.
Well, it's like. I understand that changing origins in a way kind of changes the character, but not really. Because again, this wasn't starting with Spider-Man. This was Spider-Man being added to a very well, fully established thing already.
Yes.
And again, Spider-Man's one of those characters. Like, for example, I think it's interesting how, like, people will say that about Spider-Man, but not about, like, Black Panther. It's like, they were introduced the exact same way, essentially. And it's like, but because Spider-Man's much more popular, they get more criticism because like, oh, that's not the way Spider-Man's. It's like, well, dude, as long as it's like close and good, does it really matter? It's like
as long as he looks like Spider-Man and is fighting Spider-Man villains and is saving people while doing I don't care.
Well, and he acts like Spider-Man does. Like he acts like he's a teenager who wants to do the right thing, but also juggling life and, oh, I want to take Liz to the dance, but also I have to stop bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, that sounds pretty Spider-Man to me. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I know it's not like, oh, this isn't exactly, but like, you also have to realize we've had Spider-Man twice in the last, 15 years before this movie. So it's like, like we've seen the origin story. We've seen Uncle Ben. We've seen all this happen. Everyone at this point knows. It's kind of like with Batman. It's like you don't have to shoot Batman's parents every time anymore. Because again, like even people who don't like comic book movies understand Batman, Superman, and Spider-Man's origins.
Yes.
Like those are common knowledge at this point. Other characters, it kind of depends. But those 3, I'm pretty sure everyone, even people who don't do this, like don't care about superheroes, know their origin stories. So it's like it's not like a must. I feel like as long as the principle is there, it doesn't really matter.
How much do you want to bet the studio was hounding Matt Reeves every single day during the production of the Batman to have that scene?
Oh, I'm sure. Especially with how long the movie is, and also it's a dark, gritty movie, and it would really sell home the whole Gotham is just a terrible place. Which, like, granted, it is, but it's also like this is Batman.
Yes.
Everyone knows Batman's parents get shot in an alley when he's a kid and he becomes Batman. Everyone knows that. That's common knowledge. So it's like I feel like it's kind of redundant to use it
Uh,
because we've seen it so many times.
yeah.
But like, yeah, they're always because like, oh, but the one person who doesn't know, like, oh,
You could either figure it out or just watch the movie for what it is, and you don't need
well, that's the thing.
it.
You could just allude to it. Like you could just have like I love when they have like a Batman show. Well, they'll just have like a big portrait of Thomas and Martha, or
Mm,
like the pearls on display or something. Like I
yeah.
feel like that's fine. Like I feel like everyone gets it enough. Or like even in like what is it, Far From Home, where he has the like Ben Parker initials on his suitcase or
Yeah.
whatever. I feel like that's enough that anyone who knows Spider-Man would like get it, or at
They
least
should.
like they could put two and two together.
Yeah. But also, speaking of the Batman as a movie, there's a weird portion of mostly Snyder Bros who don't like that movie, and every single time they bring up why they don't like the movie, they bring up the ending where he's leading those people like to safety, and like the sun is coming up, and he's like established as this like beacon of hope for Gotham. And he's like, Batman is not a beacon of hope. That's Superman's thing. Like he doesn't work during the day. How like they don't
He
understand the
doesn't
character
work
at all.
during
It's
the
like,
day.
bro,
I
a he like
Batman work okay.
read more than two comics. Killing Joke and Dark Knight Returns are not the only Batman comics. Two, all people seem to know these days. Two, Batman saves people all the time. He doesn't just beat the crap out of the Penguin and his goons. That's not the
Well,
only
it's
thing he does.
like while Batman is primarily at night, it's not like he's nocturnal like a vampire. It's not like he can't come out
Uh,
in the daytime. Like if something horrible is happening at 3 p.m., Batman's not like, man, dang, wait till that sun goes down. I'm gonna help out. Like, no, Batman's gonna get into action.
And that's
Like,
exactly what happened. Like the city was like the flood started at during the night, during that campaign speech during the night, and he
for
worked
some reason.
all throughout the night to save as many people as he could, and then it was morning. It's like he's not
Yeah,
just
it's
gonna
like,
go back into his
and I'm
cave.
like, yeah, it's symbolic because, like, the day, like, it's kind of like the phrase, like, the sun will come out tomorrow. Like, this isn't the end, kind of. It's like
Mm-hmm.
symbolic, but also, yeah, it's like, I mean, yeah, it just like it makes sense that, like, theoretically, yeah, if you work all night, the sun's eventually gonna come up. It's not like, you know what I mean? It's not like he's like going out of his way, but it's like even the freaking like bomb scene. I mean, that's during the day. Was Batman just supposed to let it happen because the sun hasn't gone down yet? Like, I don't
Yeah,
like. I
and
don't
all,
really.
and their main hangup is Batman essentially being seen as this beacon of hope for Gotham when part of the point of the movie at the very beginning he's like, I am the shadows. The bat symbol is a calling card for me, but also a symbol of fear for the villains. But throughout the movie he learns to be more than that and be a beacon for the citizens as well. Like
It's
that's
almost like, what's that? An arc? No. What? No.
and I feel part of the Batman mythos is the citizens feeling more safe knowing that Batman is out there. Like, yes, Gotham sucks. It is a crime cesspool, but
Yes, it
because
is.
Batman is out there, they can at least feel more or less safe go walking the streets at night.
Yeah.
But no, these are the same people that think Batman should be nocturnal, not be the
Run
symbol of.
over villains with the
Yeah,
Batmobile.
those are the people that think only Zack Snyder can make Superman right. When
Oh, jeez.
I feel
Zack Snyder's one of the only people who's done Superman wrong recently.
I don't know. Like again, I
That's
don't
okay.
necessarily mind this new take on the character, but if your plan is to have 5 movies go by before he's finally like the real Superman, I think that's just too much. I think
My thing is, I feel like he should be the real Superman kind of out the gate. I would feel like,
yeah.
because again, I know we've talked about this, but it's like I feel like the reason Superman works is like it's not this, oh, I am a god to these mortals. It's I'm just a dude from Kansas who can also chuck
Mhm.
buildings. and
Yeah.
is invulnerable. So it's like I feel like he should just be like he should be like the nice guy at in your neighborhood,
Mm.
but also he can like he's Superman. It's like he's just helping people because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah. And like some of my something that I feel is kind of missing from these modern adaptations of Superman is I love in the comics and animated show, and also the Richard Donner Superman movies. Um, Whenever he's Clark Kent, he's like physically slouching and like is looking less imposing. He has like almost a stutter. There's like he's like trying his hardest to like not be Superman, but it's because he is Superman. It's just like like especially in Superman 2 when Lois finds out, when I think it might actually be a deleted scene, she like shoots him with the blank. He like stands up straight. He like, but he didn't even realize it was a blank because he's Superman.
Right.
Like you can see him physically like stand up straight. That's such good imagery of like that is Superman.
Right, because
like,
he actually did like look like, and he actually kind of look good because he went out of his way to look different.
Yeah, and outside of putting glasses on, Henry Cavill didn't really do that. Really, I don't know. I just feel like that element of Superman's like his human element is really lost in these movies.
Yeah, I feel like it's not enough Clark Kent, too much Superman, which I feel like is kind of the opposite. I feel like it's Clark Kent, but also as needed, Superman comes to save the day.
Which, yeah, like as far as Superman is concerned, he was Clark Kent first. He grew up as Clark
exactly.
Kent. It's like, and I feel Man of Steel almost got that conceptually, but then I don't know, didn't do as much as it could to really make that happen. And then like I don't know, I have a lot of very structural issues with those movies on top of just being not the most comic accurate thing. It's just I feel like other people can make a good Superman movie, and I think Henry Cavill deserves other people making him be Superman in a different way. I think that's what he deserves, and other people can make that happen. It doesn't have to be just Snyder.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah. I mean, because they've done it before. It just wasn't a movie. It was just a comic book, or like, it was a TV show, in my opinion, or it was whatever. It's like, it doesn't have to be because Zack Snyder did it. It doesn't.
And also, apparently,
Tom King with like.
Apparently, Zack Snyder he revealed a year or two ago in this interview that his idea for an ideal Superman sequel, like Man of Steel sequel, was Brainiac, with Supergirl being involved in that. And although I feel Brainiac should be involved at some point in live action, I feel like having Man of Steel be about General Zod coming down and trying to terraform the Earth, and then BVS be another giant monster, and then Justice League being another giant monster that's trying to terraform the Earth, and then the next movie is also essentially another alien force who's trying to take over the world. It just seems like that's very derivative of each other. I feel there are so many other Superman villains that, I mean, we've said before, but I feel, BVS alone could have had two other very, very good villains within just the idea of him using Zod's body to create a villain, whatever it's done. But I don't know. I feel like there are other things they can do with that character, with Henry Cavill as that character. It doesn't have to be Zack Snyder. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
100%. But I mean, I feel like that should go without saying, but because it doesn't, we have to say it anyway.
Yeah. But and granted, I haven't seen Black Adam yet. No, you haven't either. I know he's going to be in that movie in the after credits scene. It's not a spoiler. The Rock has been saying that for weeks now. Like, for whatever reason, he spoiled his own movie. But the reason I'm so apprehensive to like champion not Zack Snyder in this way is because all the people who adore that man are only loving Black Adam because Henry Cavill Superman was in the after credit scene. And like they talk about how the action is so good, but from one of the trailers and other people, like some of like the reasonable people I've seen are like, yeah, the action is good, but it's not, not something I've ever seen before. The acting is fine, but these people are like, it is a return to form for DC. But I guarantee if Henry Cavill wasn't in it, they wouldn't be thinking this.
Yeah, it's like they're very biased opinions based on very little but somewhat a connection to Zack Snyder. But
and then you have a different subsect of those same people who are actually upset that Henry Cavill is in his iconic red and blue outfit. It's like,
wait, what?
They're,
how are you upset that he's in red and blue?
He
what is he supposed to wear?
The black or a different color. I don't know.
Why would he do? Why?
I don't know.
You don't just whip out the black suit every time. He's like, that's not his suit. Like,
you're right.
That's like saying Spider-Man should only have the symbiote suit every time. Like, that doesn't really work.
I don't know.
Like, it's a one-time thing. Like, he already used it. Like,
I don't know. With that character specifically, it's going to be interesting seeing how fans react to future iterations of Henry Cavill as Superman. But until we actually see what that becomes, I'm not going to care about what the fanboys think. I'm just going to take these movies as they are. And I personally am glad that Henry Cavill is getting another chance to be a good Superman. So, yes. And next up, they went ahead and reconfirmed that the Batman 2 is officially in development with Matt Reeves and whatnot, as well as several additional spin-off shows. We already had the Penguin and a Hole on Arkham show. Other spin-off projects including ones for Clayface, Scarecrow, and Professor Pig for some reason.
Professor Pig is that one character that was super unheard of, and then the Arkham games came out, and then the Beware the Batman show, and then all of a sudden he's in everything now.
Yeah, I think he was a Dick Grayson Batman villain. Like, I don't think he was even around until recently.
I don't even. Yeah, but no, it's weird because like he's definitely creepy, but he does feel like kind of like just a weirder version of other characters. He feels like a mix of like Dollmaker and Zaz. Like, it's weird.
He's like actually pretty much exactly, because he's just another serial killer who's a Batman villain.
Yeah, like weird. I want to cut up people, serial killer, but like in a weird fetish kind of way.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It was a weird mask.
Yeah, I mean the main mask is kind of different, but not really. Like, I don't know. He seems very like, I don't want to say garden variety because he's clearly a psychopath, but like if I was Batman, I'd be like, okay, come on, like. Really, you're doing him, but with a pig on your face. Like, I don't get it, but whatever. Yeah. Like,
I think I mentioned. I think I mentioned this before.
I feel like a Professor Pig does kind of fit for this universe though, because it's creepy enough to work. So I'll take it.
Yeah, like this more, definitely more grounded, more like realistic in its creepiness, I guess. Yeah. Could definitely work for this world.
Yeah. I'm a little worried about Clayface though, because I feel like Clayface can either be like, I feel like a simplified Clayface is not really as effective, because I feel like Clayface in his entirety is too big for this universe, because Clayface can be ridiculous if wanted, but I feel like just like kind of a chameleon Clayface isn't really that like interesting.
Like you want like full on 10-foot.
Flipping cop cars and making anvils and stuff out of my hands. Clayface.
Yeah, but
this Batman, I don't think is ready for that.
I don't know. I want this Gotham to get crazy like that. I want obviously his first outing was more grounded, but with with Joker being in the picture, with I want stuff. I essentially want this Gotham to eventually become something that people with crazy superpowers like Poison Ivy, like whoever, Clayface, whoever could just exist and not. I wouldn't bat an eye at them just being in this Gotham. But right now, it's not looking like that's the case. But hopefully, with these more with these spinoff shows, it will show that it is more like that.
Now, are the shows going to be just origins for the characters, or like?
I don't know. I know the Penguin show is set after the Batman. So is the Arkham Asylum show. So I don't know if Clayface will if we'll show him being an actor and then whatever happened to him, and then he whatever. But either way, I trust Matt Reeves in pretty much anything at this point. So Scarecrow is another one that I think could work very well in this world.
Yes, definitely. Because again, we already established this whole City of Fear thing anyway. So no, that goes without saying. Scarecrow's gonna fit right in.
Kind of go back to Mr. Pig for just a second. I think I've mentioned this before in my podcast, but one analysis that I absolutely love about Batman villains is the fact that almost every single Batman villain up to a point, like for a while, was essentially just like a weird mirrored version, like a corrupt mirrored version of an aspect of Batman. Like Penguin is a rich guy, who uses his wealth to fund crime. Scarecrow uses fear. Riddler is intellectual match for him.
Yeah.
Joker is essentially what he could become if he were full delve in in the crazy side of it, because it's nearly as crazy to do that. I don't really have a good allegory for Poison Ivy, but I'm sure somewhere in there. Even Clayface is Batman is not his true identity, but also
it's a mask kind of.
Yeah, and Clayface changes appearance.
Kind of like Hush too, kind of, because you guys kind of had a similar upbringing. Parents died, but they went differently.
Deathstroke and Deadshot are
right.
If he actually trained, he could be as good as them in their respective
right.
Professor Pig is just a weird dude. I don't see it there.
Yeah, no, I mean there is. I mean, I feel like that's one of those things that you can do starting out, but I feel like at a certain point you kind of run out of villains, because it's Mr. Freeze. I don't even. A scientist, I guess. But other than that, they have no real motivation. I guess driven by traumas of losing a loved one. I guess you could argue that,
sure.
But even that's kind of a stretch. But it's not the same way, because it's she's kind of dying and he's dealing with it. His parents have been dead. He's trying to do.
But if someone kidnapped a Robin, he might go to great lengths to get him back, or stop the person.
I mean, apparently not.
Well, he wouldn't go as far as to kill, but he would.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's you would. I mean, I bet Jason Todd thought that too.
Fair enough. But yeah, I just want more of that world. I want it now.
Yeah.
Take as much time as you want with Batman 2, but because I'm sure it's going to be phenomenal probably 3 years from now. Regardless, we're going to get more stuff out of the universe pretty soon. So that's very good to hear. And last thing announced in this of these easy projects was the script for The Flash 2 is apparently already done.
Oh, so this is happening.
No.
Wait.
What?
The Flash 2?
Yes.
What about The Flash 1? Is that still happening?
It's still happening.
It is?
Yeah, it's still. Apparently, Ezra Miller did reshoots as early as last month. So they're still going to be in the movie. That's still happening.
Wait. Wait, so they already wrote the script for the next Flash movie, and this one's been like a bear just trying to get off the
They've
ground.
been
Okay,
filming. They've been filming The
they've been
Flash since
filming
like
forever.
2018.
That's what I'm
So
saying. Like, I mean, this movie has gone through what, four
at least
directors?
4.
Like, we had. I mean, it's been quiet canceled like twice and three times.
It's been
We
delayed at
didn't even
least
think
6
we had a
times.
Flash. There were petitions to get Grant Gustin from the CW to just take his place in the universe.
Yeah.
So it's like I mean, like you cancel Batgirl, but you're not going to cancel this. Like,
It costed over 300 million to do it, so they can't just cancel it.
yes, you can. You're Warner Brothers. You'll be okay.
No, but here's the thing though. They probably wouldn't be. There was a report this past summer that said that Warner Brothers, after the merger, only had enough money to release 2 movies this year. Those being Don't Worry Darling, which bombed, and Black Adam. That's why they had to delay Shazam out of this year because they didn't have
I
enough money to
forgot
release
about
it.
that movie. Oh, jeez. Well, no wonder they're really trying to like hype up Black Adam. Like, man, this
Yeah.
like I think it's gonna do okay. I don't think it's gonna crush it, but
It's doing like fine currently. I think it made like 26 million opening day, which
I mean,
is fine.
my thing is, unless you have Black Adam showing up in the next Shazam movie, I would have switched the order personally. But because at least you know Shazam was well received, and the only reason it didn't do well is because of the placement. But or at least you should know that. But
Well, yeah, but it's coming out in March, I think. So, uh, yeah, I don't know. But they probably couldn't get away with writing the Flash off as a tax write-off because I don't think they would get 300 million back for that.
probably not.
And also, it would be it would be kind of funny if both chances Michael Keaton had to come back as Batman were quietly canceled.
I mean, that would kind of stink. But at the same time, I mean, it's not his fault.
No, no, not at all.
I mean, I feel like you could, like, granted, I don't think Batgirl would have done that great, but I feel like at least that was ready to go.
It was
Like, Flash,
almost
still,
done. The Flash is still
yeah,
getting
it's
reshoots.
like Flash. We don't know what's going on. I don't know.
Yeah,
Like,
but
I feel like it's gonna still get the fanboy support, but I feel like that's not gonna be enough.
yeah,
Especially if
and,
you already put 300 million into it.
and this summer is pretty packed.
Mm-hmm.
So
See, this is your time right here. Marvel's kind of chilling out right now. Outside of Black Panther, Marvel's kind of chilling out. So it's like, this is kind of your window. So if you miss, like, yours not going to be a better shot anytime soon.
because Shazam's going to come out a month after Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumanium,
Mm-hmm.
which I think will be a big movie, but I don't think will be like in the same way that Endgame was, obviously.
No, definitely not.
And then this June, which The Flash is planning on coming out, where I know we're getting a new Transformers movie. I know we're getting Into the Spider-Verse 2. Yeah. Like one other thing I can't put my finger on right now, but I know we're getting like some pretty heavy hitters this summer, and then the Marvels in July. So I don't know if the Flash will necessarily be able to break through. I hope we don't. I hope we don't have an Aquaman situation where Into the Spider-Verse 2 comes out and then it just gets bodied by a worse superhero movie.
No. I think, I don't know. I would hope that people learn their lesson after the first one was so awesome, but at the same time, it's been enough time that maybe they haven't, or maybe they forgot. I mean, the real fans will know.
Yes.
I mean, that's the movie. It's like, oh wow, are you here to come see, this? I'm like, no, I'm here to go see the cartoon Spider-Man movie. My grown man self, like, no, like, yes.
Yeah. But the Flash 2 is apparently happening. No idea if Ezra Miller is going to be in it at all. Probably not at this point, but who knows how they'll I mean, those reshoots at the end that Ezra Miller just did were probably to like. I mean, if I had to guess, they were probably done to like have the end of this movie make this Flash no longer the Flash anymore or something, because
Do you think they would make him do that? They would just make him write it out, write himself out?
I don't know.
Because, like, if you were an actor, would you do that?
If they pay you enough.
I mean, maybe, but I'm like, I don't know. Like, if I was an actor for a character, like, okay, this is the part where we're gonna write you out, and it's like, no, I'm gonna make you do that, so it makes you look bad. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I'd be okay with it. Unless it was like a send off after like years and years. I don't think I'd be okay with that.
Right. But I don't know. I have a feeling the Flash 2 I don't think it's going to be called the Flash 2, but also I think it may even just straight up not be set in the same universe as the Flash with a different the Flash.
Mm-hmm.
So
do you think it's gonna follow the trend of like other movies and be like the Scarlet Speedster instead of Flash or something stupid? Because I don't know, like it's kind of like because when they started doing it with the Dark Knight and then they were doing it with Man of Steel, me and my friends were like, man, now it's like coming this fall, the Emerald Archer, like you know what I mean? Like there's always like it's gonna get to the point where people don't know who you're talking about anymore.
Mm-hmm. That is kind of. It is very funny that the DCEU started with a Superman movie just called Man of Steel. Like, it's not Superman, the Man of Steel, which would have been a sick title. It was just Man of Steel. It's like, if you don't know Superman, like, you don't know that's him.
Because they're trying to copy the Dark Knight. Because it's like, oh, that'll work. I'm like, no, just make it super. Like, you could honestly just call it Superman.
I want to live in a world where there is a live-action Superman movie called Superman World's Finest, or something like that. Because like that is like his title, like
World Finest. That would be nice.
World's Finest, like, or something.
Or
like
that. Yeah, like I don't, or like it's funny because like again, I don't know how like rules work with like copyright or whatever, but it's like there's so many comics with good names, like Superman Up in the Sky, Superman, like whatever. It's like. That's a good name. That makes sense. It's even in the freaking like intro of everything Superman. Mm-hmm. Like use that. But it's like, or like, just whatever. It's like, nah, we're gonna just like, I don't know. Like, I know it's harder than it looks coming up with titles, but it's like, I feel like you can just have the name in the title and then just like throw something on the back. And it's Superman. Yeah. There's so many things. You could just put, Superman, Brainiac attacks, or something like that. Like, it doesn't have to be, or it's like, for example, instead of Man of Steel, what if it was like Superman, Kneel Before Zod? No, that doesn't really work. Kneel Before Zod, I don't.
As long as it's not Rise of something, I'm good.
Rise of Zod.
So there is an incalculable number of like media out there that's just the rise of something.
The Rise of Gru was the first thing I thought of.
I mean, Rise of Skywalker, Rise of the Silver Surfer for some reason, Rise of the Tomb Raider, Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Actually, very good, but it's still called that. Dark Knight Rises. It's everywhere.
Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, again, very good movie, but it's still called
Oh yeah, no, but just the trend.
Yeah, but I feel like with every single Amazing Spider-Man 2 in other regions is called Rise of Electro for some reason.
What?
Yeah, if you Google,
he's not even like the main. I mean, he kind of is, but like not even really the main villain.
Is there really a main villain of that movie? Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like that's not like fair. It's like, I mean, if I was Green Goblin, I'd be like, whoa, wait, it's his movie? Like, wait a minute, like I feel like that was kind of. I guess, granted, Jamie Foxx is probably the most famous actor in that movie.
Yeah,
but I don't think that was enough that he's the unless they edited the movie. I'm like, there was enough villainous to go around. I don't think he was like the undisputed main bad guy.
However, kind of funnily enough, if it were called Man of Steel: The Rise of Superman, because there literally is a scene of Superman going up into the sky, technically that'd be more correct than these others.
But, yeah.
It's like the one instance. Although I guess Dark Knight Rises technically does go out of the pit, but like it's still I feel like it's kind
Honestly,
of
you could. I mean, I don't know. It's like honestly, again, I don't know the rules, but I'm like, just name them after comic books.
No, I agree.
Like you don't have to do the story the same way, but like
Mm-hmm.
like if there was a Batman, like for example, if the Batman was called Batman Year One, I'd be fine with that. I think that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Now again, I don't know if there's rules against that, but like I don't
Like
think it would be. It's your own property, right?
yeah, but like you would think Venom 2 would have been called Venom Absolute Carnage or Maximum Carnage. But no, it's
Yeah.
Let There Be Carnage. Like, why not call it the name of the comic that Carnage was introduced in? But instead, they called it this weird other thing.
That's why I'm like maybe there's a rule they can't because it seems obvious.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's like they can't, but it's like, but then again, why wouldn't you? Because it's like it's yours, right?
Right?
Especially with I don't know, Marvel's kind of weird sometimes, but DC, I feel like they should be able to.
Yeah.
But
As far as I know, none of their characters are like thrown out. You know, like Marvel is, where Universal has the rights to Hulk. Fox obviously had the right to a lot of other stuff. Ghost Rider was somewhere else. Like there's like
yeah,
they should be able
the
to do
only
more
like
stuff.
controversy thing I know about DC is the whole Captain Marvel thing.
Yeah.
Like other than that, I don't think it really like matters.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know. But I still think Superman, the Man of Steel, would have been a very good title, and I think that
Yeah.
alone would have made that movie do better at the box office. With like kind of like how Birds of Prey was retitled Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey in some places, and it
Yeah.
seemed to do a little better because Harley Quinn just is a more
Well,
recognizable
yeah,
name.
because I mean, granted, the fans are gonna watch it regardless, but it's like, yeah, I feel like for people just looking for someone to watch, I feel like putting the name of the character, especially a character as notable as Superman,
Mm-hmm.
because when you like, granted, when you think of what Superman, his nickname, everyone would say Man of Steel, but it's like Man of Steel. If you just said that out of context, doesn't necessarily invoke Superman
Right,
necessarily. Like I would think of that first, but it's like it could very well be something else.
Iron
Like, you
Man.
know what I mean? Right. Or like I was thinking like,
Steel.
Man of Steel. I was thinking like a sports documentary. Like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
this guy has the best perseverance or what, you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
something like that. Like granted, that's probably not it, but it's like I could see something like that being titled that.
It is also very funny. There's a different like Superman like character in
Yeah.
DC called Steel.
Right. So it's kind of just like, all right, so like,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean,
Whereas the Dark Knight, that's clearly Batman. He is the Dark
but I
Knight.
think the Dark Knight also, remember the first one's Batman Begins.
Yes.
So I think that helped it a lot because I think if it started as the Dark, because like it's clearly a sequel, but I think it helps a lot that the first one's called Batman. So it's like, okay, now that everyone knows this is still Batman, we're just gonna add on to it.
Mm-hmm. Right. Um,
I'm trying to think what else. Like, yeah, I mean, I don't know, because like,
well, kind of going on this discussion, they why is there a reason why they're not calling the Flash movie Flashpoint? Because they're basically doing, or not really doing the story, but they're doing like something similar, at least kind of similar to it with different worlds and whatnot, and like, or I don't know, like they essentially like when they first pitched it, it was as if it weren't going to be a Flashpoint movie, but they just call it the Flash. So, yeah, I don't know.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, you could just call it the Flash, but I mean, I feel like if you called it Fastest Man Alive or something, I feel like it wouldn't be the same.
Yeah. But also, the animated DC movies seem like they can get away with naming stuff what they are. Superman, Man of Tomorrow, Flashpoint, Superman, or Justice League, Doomsday.
Batman, Hush, like,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, that's kind of my thing. I'm like, I guess they can do it because they do it, but maybe it's like, I think it's that whole like big movie market, comic book people disconnect because
Yeah,
the big it's like the directors or whatever want to call it their own thing. Oh, I don't want it to sound too close to something else. I wanted them to know this is different.
I don't want it to
But it's
sound too comic booky, even though it is a comic
a
book movie.
comic book movie.
Whereas the
Ugh.
animated movies are animated, so they're basically moving comic books. So people are
Yeah.
more, they're but also a niche market. So for whatever reason, that's more okay to call it what it is. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I don't know. I saw like unrelated, but kind of like what you said. It's like on YouTube they have these things where it's like from comic to screen, where it has like those animated movies, and it has like the pages in the comic, and then it replays it how it was in the movie
That
for
is
like
very cool.
like on Long Halloween and stuff like that. I was like, oh, that was really cool. But like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like, but yeah, essentially, yeah, the whole thing is I feel like if you lean into what you're doing, like if it's a comic book movie, lean into that. Like
Mm-hmm.
just go for it. And I think you'll be, I think it'll work out. Because again, that is what it is. We're in the age of comic book movies. So you might as well go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially before it runs out. Because I feel like the age of comic book movies, once Marvel kind of hits their like wall, I think we're done for everybody. So it's like, if you're gonna do this now.
Yeah, I think we have maybe 8 to 10 more like good years of
I
superhero
don't even think it's
movies.
that long. I think it's like 5.
After
Because
Secret Wars, you
especially,
think?
well, my thing is like, here's my thing. Like, I feel like I feel like they took too like I feel like X-Men and stuff took too long. I feel like we kind of missed that window for people to care. Not
Eh,
that like nerds won't, but I feel like the general public has kind of missed that window. And I think the thing too is like it's been a long time. We've been doing this for a while. Like I will say, like comic book movies really kicked off like 2012 ish.
mhm.
So like we're going on around 10 years of that, and kind of going. And again, I feel like Endgame was a big like, all right, this is like the peak. So we're definitely riding on the way down. And I feel like this. I'm not gonna lie. Although they've been good, I think the streaming shows have not helped. I
I
think they've kind of hindered because not that they're bad, but I think because they've kind of lowered the
I was
maybe
talking
lowered the.
I was
I'm
talking
not
to my brother
sure.
about this. Essentially, when huge moments that should have this ripple effect throughout the entire MCU, like there being a new Captain America, is just part of a 6 part streaming show,
Yeah,
and then that's not really felt in the movies at all or other shows at
no,
all.
at
Like
all.
that is a
I've
little weird.
I have consistently forgot that happened multiple times, which is weird because like other things happening have had effect. Because like the whole like even the whole like throwaway Sorcerer Supreme change thing
Mm-hmm.
from Spider or from because Strange was gone has carried over from Spider-Man and She-Hulk and like what I mean. So it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like I feel like that, which isn't really a real thing. It's kind of just a joke. That's had more of a ripple effect than Captain America or something like that. And it's like I feel like that was kind of just for funsies, but
Yeah.
because we like Wong, we like they just kept using it.
Mm-hmm.
But like I don't know. It's like it feels like like you said, monumental things are kind of getting swept under the rug, and then they don't connect to anything. Because I feel like none of the shows connect at all, and I feel like there's nowhere they're really going to until the point it doesn't really matter. Like
Yeah.
WandaVision kind of connects with Doctor Strange, but not really
It
because they kind of just
it should have
reference it
connected
once.
more. That should have been a stronger connection.
Yeah, that
But
should have played a huge more part to it. Like I thought that, what I mean, they could have gone back on Agatha, or they could have done something like
I thought the
just to
twins were
kind
going
of
to be more
add.
involved in the movie itself.
Right. I don't know. I just felt because especially when they did mention it and then kind of immediately brushed it off. I feel like that kind of bothered me even more. Because it's like, okay, so you could have gone into detail with this, but you just kind of chose not to. But
And that's also kind of a reason why I'm more okay with the way DC is doing it right now. Like, these characters are just in the movies they need to be in. They don't need to have an origin. Like, Moon Knight, as much as I love the character, it didn't need that movie to exist. Like, you could just have a Midnight Suns movie and just have him be there. Like, you could just be one of the characters in the movie. Same, like, you don't. Which is why I think I haven't seen it yet, but I heard a lot of people have heavy praise for the Werewolf by Night special like presents
I forgot
thingy.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah, like a lot of people are like, this was very well paced. It introduced characters like Elsa Bloodstone, a Man Thing, like these characters who like aren't huge characters, but like, still pretty like cool parts of like that aspect of the Marvel universe, who could show up in a Midnight Suns or something else later down the line. Like if there is a Ghost Rider thing, maybe it being a special presents as opposed to a stretched out 6-part miniseries, it'd be a little, that'd be better. But yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't feel the same. Especially, I don't know. We'll see how it goes, but I feel like it's kind of draining. And then like, I know we have plans for things ahead,
Mm-hmm.
but it kind of feels like a lot of the stops we're making on the way don't feel like big stops. You know?
Yeah. Like, as much as we might talk about it more in a minute, but as much as I liked She-Hulk as a show, it did feel kind of unnecessary to happen right now.
Yeah.
Like, she's probably not going to be in another thing for at least a couple years.
Right?
Like, at least Miss Marvel is going to be in the Marvels next year.
Yeah, but even that, when that happens, how much is that really going to connect to?
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it feels like even if these things do follow up, it still feels like Captain America and Winter Soldier feel like it came out so long ago, and nothing even remotely close to that has even affected anything.
Right. Like at least Loki, establishing Kang as a character and establishing the multiverse within that show, that has
Right.
mattered.
Yeah, kind of. But like,
But I also kind of feel like you could just say the multiverse exists without.
that's kind of my thing too. Like, you didn't need Loki to make because again, my thing with the multiverse is I feel like Spider-Man told you all you needed to know about the multiverse. You didn't really need anything else. Like Spider-Man, and then especially with Doctor Strange too, it's like, okay, the multiverse is 100% a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Especially when they go out of their way to explain it, even
Right.
though it's like pre-established, but it's like not really.
Yeah, especially since in Loki, like the verbiage kind of got a little confusing with like our different timelines, alternate multiverses, or are they? And I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. It like got confusing because it's like it's even. I don't know. I'm not even.
Yeah, and like there's also different
It's confusing.
dimensions and realms and worlds within this one. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot, but yeah, I kind of agree with you that although I'm glad that DC is finally getting its act together and producing good movies, and hopefully the movies they make in the future are still really good. On top of Sony also trying to throw movies out that just aren't good, like I want to believe within the next 3 years, like we'll hit another another like renaissance of fantastic superhero movies. But right now it's not. Like we're kind of in this weird in between point where Marvel is like fine but not hitting where they used to.
Mm.
DC isn't really producing anything of like spectacular quality. Morbius exists. you know.
I mean that's not their fault though. I mean that just kind of happens.
Yeah.
So you kind of just have to.
But yeah, like I am very excited that DC is making stuff in the future. I want them to, continue announcing and putting high effort and getting the right people into these projects. Like, yeah, Green Lantern project has been tossed around for years now. Someone needs to just make that already. Whether it be James Gunn or someone else, just do it, please.
Yeah. I think they're just worried because the last time anyone touched Green Lantern, it didn't go so well. But
That's true.
it's
That is
true.
true.
But
Yeah.
they can do it.
Anyway, moving on to Disney stuff. So I know this rumor was kicked around a couple weeks ago, but it's been confirmed that Harrison Ford will be playing
Hmm.
Thunderbolt Ross in future Marvel stuff. Which, I
Sure.
yeah, he's apparently going to show up in Captain America 4 first, which I think is pretty interesting, and then show up in Thunderbolts. Meaning, like I personally see that as the after credit scene of Captain America 4 will be him becoming Red Hulk, and Thunderbolts will be about them like tracking him down and like stopping Red Hulk from doing Red Hulk stuff.
Hmm.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Um, like I hadn't even really considered Thunderbolt Ross really being this like major character in the MCU, but all of a sudden he's gonna be in, you know, two of the biggest movies coming up soon. Like that's and played by Harrison Ford. Weirdly enough, like I was not expecting him to ever be in the MCU, let alone as a recast of this already established character. Like it's cool. Why not?
Yeah, sure. Why
Yeah,
not? I mean,
yeah.
we'll see how it like go because this is interesting because it's like I feel like a lot of like the recast kind of come earlier rather than later, but this
Mm-hmm.
one's kind of a later one, so like we'll see.
Yeah,
Obviously for obvious reasons, but
yeah.
you know,
Um, but yeah, that's gonna be cool.
yeah.
Um, Sticking with Disney for a bit. My roommate and I finally got around to seeing the movie Cruella, and you've already seen it,
Oh yeah.
so I we need to talk about this. So,
Okay.
so the reason we thought of this movie is earlier this week, I randomly was like, hey, as a kid, I loved the live action 101 Dalmatians movie. Like, it was full, it was one of the 90s movies I've ever seen, and I loved it. So, like, as a kid. And I was like, it is clearly on Disney Plus. I haven't seen it in over 15 years. Let's watch it. So we watched it. We had a fun time. It, as a movie, it was a 90s movie, so a 90s live action movie, so inherently didn't hold up that well, but it was still a lot of fun. Like, well, we also, and then it recommended 102 Dalmatians, which I didn't even know existed. Came out in the year 2000, and that is clearly a 2000s movie. Almost every joke didn't land. The humor was just weird overall. The acting was bizarre. There was a random rap song in the middle of it. Like it was
What?
like they had a weird like rap version of the Cruella Deville song. It was bizarre. The color palette was very 2000s-y, whereas the one from '96 was a very '90s color palette. It was a very different movie, but it was also very dull. And I forgot almost everything that happened in it outside of the guy that plays Reed Richards in the 2005 Fantastic Four movies in that movie. So there's that. But regardless, we watched those two movies. And I'm like, well, we might as well round out the trilogy and watch Cruella. So, so here we are. What are your general thoughts about the movie Cruella? I know you've been a while since you've seen it, but what do you
I
got?
mean, kind of my general thoughts with a lot of these live action anime. This did not need to exist at
No.
all. But but my thing about it is it's not at all what you think it is. It's
Nope.
not the movie. First of all, the movie has basically nothing to do with the actual story
Uh-huh.
at all. Like this movie has no idea what it's trying to do. This movie went from this movie went from Now You See Me to The Devil Wears Prada to back to Now You See Me for like 5 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and then I don't even know what the last part is. And it's like trying to be like three movies at once, and it's not really doing any of them well,
Uh-huh.
and it kind of just exists, and it's really stupid. And like it doesn't make you feel like you understand the character any better because the character's actions aren't really like granted they're not like super evil, but they're also not really justified because
Mm-hmm.
even though she's like not the worst general person, she's like a total bad person to her friends
Yes.
by the end of the movie.
And the weirdest part about Cruella as a character is it, like the way it was framed. It was almost like a Green Goblin situation where like for a while, like her name is Estella for most of the movie, and
Yes.
then like the Cruella persona like takes over, and then it's not until later it like goes away, and then it comes back in big like it just it I don't know if that's what they were going for. Like, were they going for this multiple personalities thing, or is it just a thing of like being in this powerful position changed her, but she was like a bad person as a kid, but then I don't I don't know. It was weird
No.
how they framed that.
And it was not explained at
But also
all.
her even like her Cruella persona wasn't really Cruella. It was just like a
No.
slightly meaner version of the Estella character. And
Yes.
then at the end of the movie, she just has these Dalmatians that she inherited from her mom character. And are we just supposed to assume that between that movie and the 101 Dalmatian story, she skinned those dogs alive and wore them as a coat? It's like that, like they didn't go into that at all. Like the Cruella from the movies is an animal murderer and wears like actual fur. It's like that's her thing.
Yeah.
But that was never brought up in these movies outside of one joke, kind of.
Well, that's the thing. It's like I guess they because it's a her movie, they're trying to like make her the good guy, and there's no real way you can justify, you know, skinning lovable dogs.
But
So I don't. Even though that's the
that's
character
the
they
character.
have, which is annoying, but it's like again, this is why this movie didn't need to be made.
Like it,
But
it's weird. Yeah, it's weird to make a movie about a character who is cartoonishly evil to the point where, yeah, skinning animals alive and wearing their fur is
it's like
like she never
funny.
actually, she's never seen doing that. But we just like, but she wants to, and that's like so. And she goes through such great lengths to want to do that in those movies where you can't accurately portray that in a backstory, yet so they don't even bother trying to. They just skip that part.
Yeah, which I feel like is a big part about the character as a whole. Because I mean, the character's whole like I don't know. The character didn't really make any sense. Like it was like it. This wasn't about the person we thought we were watching was not the story we got.
Hmm.
Because like none of it added up really. But I
And
don't
there
know.
isn't even there theoretically should be a thing where it's like, oh, she hates animals because these dogs attacked her mom and killed her or something, which
Which is really stupid. First of all.
very stupid. Like, yeah, like the dogs were chasing her, but then the Baroness used the whistle and made them punch her mom off or I guess adopted mom off a
Well, that's
bridge.
the thing. I'm like,
Like,
are they trained? Have they done this before? Like, the dogs know that when the
yes,
whistle blows, they're just gonna kill someone?
but
Like,
like,
what?
but she didn't seem to have any hatred towards those Dalmatians towards at the end of the movie. She didn't have any. That didn't seem to really inform anything about her character outside of just hating the Baroness, which I think she's a bad enough person. You don't really need that.
Oh no.
I don't know. It was again. It was also just like how the first one is a very '90s movie. The second one is a very 2000s movie. Cruella is a very 20, like modern 20, 2020s movie where I feel it's just kind of dull. The color palette is very dull, which it might just be what England looks like. I don't know. The like any attempt at humor doesn't really it either seems out of place or doesn't work. The soundtrack of this movie is very very annoying. It has the Suicide Squad effect where every 5 seconds there's a new song that kind of references what's happening on screen. Like I like halfway through the movie I was like I am like I love every single song that's in this movie, but I don't like that all these songs are in this movie. There's so many.
It doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why this movie was made. It like at no point during making this movie, I know Emma Stone is like a pretty big actress, and like Cruella is a character people like, but that doesn't mean you should make the character likable. That's not why people like her. People love to hate that character.
Mm-hmm.
So they had a Maleficent situation where they made this character sympathetic when that's not, that's not the point of Cruella de Vil.
As if you didn't have to spell it out already.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, again, it was one of these things where it was just kind of like, I don't really get. And my whole thing too is like, I know she's trying to do the whole I'm gonna get close to this person, to move up, and then she realizes that she killed her mom, and I was like, oh, I gotta destroy this. Like, I feel like you could just like there's a leap. I don't know. There's it. The motivations didn't make sense to me. It just her motivation made no sense. Like it kept changing, and I don't think she knew what she wanted to do. And I guess that's like, in some ways that's realistic, but it's more annoying when it's a movie.
I agree. And the thing that just took me over the edge with really not liking this movie was at the very there was after credit scene. Of course there is. Again, it's a modern movie everyone has these days. In the after credit scene, the two characters, her friend, kind of friend character who she met in middle school, but then is this photographer lady throughout for the rest of the movie. But I don't really understand her character. Like, she's just kind of around, but she doesn't really interact with Cruella in any interesting way.
The photographer friend.
Yeah.
Like, I hate to say it, but kind of the token black person.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
It was kind of very obvious. Like, oh wow, okay, I see why this character was added. Like, it's like.
But she didn't get to do anything. She's just there.
To the story, but they felt like this was needed for some reason. I guess. But whatever.
Yeah. So her and the lawyer guy who Cruella never really interacted with, but the Baroness fired, so I guess she had sympathy for him or whatever. Cruella mailed 2 Dalmatian puppies, one to each of them. And these puppies are they're named the same names as the main dogs from the 96 Dalmatians movie, Pongo and the other one. I don't remember the other one's name, but they said the word Pongo out loud, which is the name of the dog from that movie.
Right.
But Pongo was owned by an American who moved to Britain for his career.
They didn't think. They were just trying to do the Easter egg. They didn't think it through.
But also they're the dogs that Cruella, the puppies from dogs Cruella owned, yet in that movie she acted like she never had seen a Dalmatian before. Like, she was surprised that spots existed, but apparently the dog that she was inspired by was hers before. It's very, very dumb. They did not think it through.
They had no idea what they were doing.
And they only let her evil laugh once, and it wasn't even really as big as it should have been. I feel like the key points that they should have hit in a Cruella de Vil movie, outside of her driving, which I guess was fun, was, I don't know. It wasn't the worst thing ever, but it was definitely not necessary to be made. Yeah. I definitely would not have wanted to waste $30 to watch it on Disney Plus.
The audacity.
Really?
Are they still doing that with movies? Or
I don't
is that
think
just
so.
A COVID thing?
I think that was just a COVID thing. They haven't done it.
Because I feel like every movie they did that with was not worth it.
Mulan, definitely not. What was that? Raya and the Last Dragon, not their best showing. Cruella, definitely not. Black Widow was good, but
wasn't worth $30.
It was worth the $10 movie ticket.
Yeah.
Like maybe no, I can't even say what I did for Shang-Chi. I don't know if I to rent a movie. I'm not paying $30 for that now.
Oh no way! Wait, you didn't even like get it? You had to rent it?
I mean, you're essentially renting it since it's just gonna be free 45 days later anyway.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, no. I mean, yeah. Either way, it doesn't matter. $30 is too much.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't.
Especially when the whole streaming service is under $10
for now. For now.
Well, yeah, for now. For now.
So yeah, I still really liked the 96 101 Dalmatians live action movie. It's one of the few live action remakes that Disney has done that like still heavily captures the essence of the original, does it in a unique and fun way, but like it doesn't like take the soul out of it. It's still like very charming and like in a very different kind of movie, but it is still, I felt, very good. And I feel if they try to make that movie today, it would be not that. I think Cruella shows me that they would make it not that. So I don't know. It was not. I would say not, it was definitely not worth my time. There was actually one point about halfway through the movie where roommate was like, "Do we need to keep watching this?" I was like, "I mean, we're over an hour in. We might as well." Yeah. Anyway, moving away from Disney Plus, Netflix is still doing Netflix things. So they've been kicking around the idea of adding an ad included tier for a while, and on November 3rd they're adding it as a $7 tier that includes ads. Yeah.
No.
I mean,
legitimately, one of the reasons Netflix has stayed along as it has is because it didn't have ads.
Yes.
If they add ads, Netflix is going to kill itself faster.
I mean, at least they're not adding ads to the premium versions. Like, it's not like you have to, because I think the highest version is like $20. I don't even know what all it gets you, but at least it's not only the highest one gets you no ads like Hulu does.
Yeah, but like, okay, so like, how many versions of Netflix are there? Like,
I know there's a 15.
I thought there was only the one right now.
I think there's 3. I think there's one that's basically worthless. That's $10. At least last I checked, they maybe changed their prices since. There's one that was $10 that gets you access to everything only in 480p and can watch only one screen at a time. I think there's a $15 one that gets you in HD. They can watch 2 screens at a time, and then the $20 one, which can watch up to 4K, and at like 4 to 8 screens at a time or something like some.
And
number.
That was the original one, right? That must have been, because like, I don't know, because like that's what we have, and I don't think my parents ever changed the plan. I think they just kind of like didn't mess with it. So I think they originally started with that and they just added everyone onto that, unless you actively chose to change it.
But now they're adding a $7 tier, which gets you ads. It's like, okay. Which I know Disney Plus is also doing that for the same price.
No.
And then increasing to 10, which like I get, but why?
It's still worth it, but it annoys me.
Yes.
Because everyone already owns you. It's okay.
Yeah, I don't know. That's not the only thing Netflix is doing that's bad, because apparently they said to their investors that they're thinking about ways to start charging people for shared accounts.
No, that's the final straw. That's going to kill Netflix.
Like,
that's it.
Nope.
People are legitimately going to get rid of it. Like, I'm not going to lie. I would drop Netflix for that. I legitimately, and I wouldn't feel bad about it. Because there's not even enough on Netflix that I really care anymore. I can't even think of the last time I watched Netflix, like, actually.
I was about to say Spectacular Spider-Man, but that's actually being moved to Disney Plus now. Or at least it's the first season of that is on Disney Plus now. So, and Breaking Bad is still there for now, but that's being taken away in a few years. So,
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like it's not even any new content. Like the only stuff that I would watch, like Bridgerton's literally it. Like I can't even think of anything else I would watch.
Stranger
Netflix
Things,
for.
but
I've
never seen it. Yeah.
No. I mean, The Witcher maybe, but even The Witcher, I'm kind of like,
Yeah.
I'd be okay without it.
Yeah, but as far as them charging per shared account,
No
how do
way.
you enforce that? Because
That's kind of my thing. Does my phone count as a different like is it like the number of like different things that have access to it, or is it like how many profiles you have, or like I'm very confused.
the only way I could see them policing this would essentially be any like when you register your Netflix account, you register it with a specific ISP, and then any profiles that are accessed outside of that home, like outside of that specific location, would have to be added separately, which would suck because personally, like the people in my household who use Netflix are me, my brother, and my mom. Like we have like the TV in like the main room at our house, but I obviously live not with my parents, but I still am like in one of the four profiles.
Right.
So
same.
I'm not an outside user, but I'm not in that house. So would I be charged the extra?
Probably.
Why?
Because like I don't know, but like that's. I mean, I think they're just trying to. I don't know, but I think Netflix knows it's slowly dying. But I think it's not help. I think it's speeding up the clock.
Right. But like it could also be per yeah, like you said earlier, per device. Like
And that's what I'm thinking.
the TV in the main room. Let's say you're a four family household. The TV in the main room. Everyone has a laptop. Phones. Oh no! Like let's say that let's say you get 8. Like one of you is not going to have it on your phone or wherever.
That's what I'm saying. And then you got that one friend or one neighbor who borrowed your Netflix that one time and never logged out. And then you got, you know what I mean? It's like
grandparents, like other family members,
or something, or like you go to a family function, you log into your Netflix. Oh, let's watch this real quick, and then they're charging you that an extra $3.99 this month for that. Like, are you kidding me? Like,
yep.
Oh my goodness, that's so, like I can very easily see them doing this, and for that reason, I think Netflix is gonna die.
Yep, and this is absolutely 100% only because of corporate greed. Like Netflix is still doing fine. Like they're declining in new users a little bit.
Because everyone already has it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I'll be honest. If someone doesn't have Netflix, that's like weird now. It's like, how do you not have? That's like not having a cell phone now.
It's still
like,
the default service. Like
yes.
Like Disney as like a corporation technically has more users on their multiple different streaming services.
Right.
Disney, Hulu, and ESPN Plus technically outmatch Netflix, but that's 3-1. It's like just barely outmatching
right, those
that.
aren't even the same. And a lot of people probably just got the bundle anyway, so it's like
So, like just because like new sales are technically stagnating, they're still making a lot of money off of just their current plans. You don't need to do like just because you're not making 12 money, you're still making 8
that's
money.
My thing. It's like that's my thing. It's like it's one thing if it's a one-time payment and they're trying to get more money, but it's like this is monthly.
Mm-hmm.
Your revenue has not decreased. Like, what are you doing?
And like these things are only gonna hurt you. Like I'm less likely to recommend Netflix if you're doing these, if you're taking shows off of there, which isn't necessarily their fault, but like they could try to secure those better. Not adding new shows that are exciting to me. Yeah, depleting who can watch it. Adding ads at a base tier. Like some people can only afford $7 a month. They won't want the ads. Like I don't know. I just don't see how this is going to be good for them in the long run. But
No, it's a terrible move.
yeah.
But again, like you said, corporate greed, because there's no real other reason. Because again, it's like the money's coming in every month, so I don't know what the problem is.
Uh, but yeah, I don't know. Um, anyway, I think that's all the topics I have. Anything else you want to discuss or bring up before we sign off?
Not at the time. Gotham Knights came out yesterday,
I've
so
heard mixed things about it.
yeah. I mean, again, it's only been out for not even that long, so we'll give it a minute. But yeah, I've heard some mixed things. I've watched some gameplay. I actually watched like the YouTube chat like Arkham videos
Mm,
like for the first time in like years. So I was like, oh cool, they're back.
good.
But like, yeah, we'll see. But just making note of that. Black Panther comes out next month. We'll
Mm,
probably both see Shazam or not Shazam, Black Adam within the next week. So
mm, mm.
yeah, it's at a good time for superhero stuff is going around. So
Yeah,
it's always a good time in my book.
yeah. Okay. So with that, we'll see you all next time.
Take care.